I want to inspire change through art and technology.
Really an artist.
Of Web3, from AI, augmented reality, virtual reality,
The interior designs,
blockchain,
architecture,
NFTs.
industrial design.
Picture is worth 1,000 words, but actually a word is worth 1,000 pictures.
Hello guys, my name is Marka. I am the CEO and the founder of a company, Marka Design and Max Fabrik. This is both companies based in Dubai. The headquarters is here, and we're producing the design and industrial design and architectural design and all the kind of designs that you need, and especially in fashion industry. And the second part is the 3D software. Today I'm expecting the 2D digital and physical artist, brilliant artist actually, women, the first NFT artist in UAE. And today will be not unusual podcast where you prefer to listen different guests and me especially, but today we want to speak about collaboration, how we can collaborate between the 2D and the 3D design together to achieve maybe new goals in arts, because Amrita created and still creates the beautiful works that I'm inspired. Yeah, and this is based on the sound, but the more information she will tell you right now here by herself. So Amrita, hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And of course I would like to know more about the base of your works. It's based on the sounds. It's really unusual things. And I'm writing the music. I'm playing the piano. That's why it's some kind of similar to me to understand what it's all about. Tell me please what it's all about.
Absolutely. I mean, to its core, I think what I try to do with my art is I want to inspire change through art and technology. And that's on two levels. So the first level is I want to use my art to inspire people to understand the changes that are happening in technology, right? So as we move from the world of Web 2 to the new tech of Web 3, from AI, augmented reality, virtual reality, blockchain, NFTs, really the next generation of tech. And using my art as a medium to educate people. So in a way of a form of art edutainment. And then the second level is inspiring change from within using art and technology. So I'm a big believer in investing in one's kind of mental health, in their wellness, in their holistic self, right? And so a lot of the time, in order for us to change, you have to kind of go inwards and really understand who we are as people and what are the narratives and the stories that we tell each other.
Okay, so the part of the vibrations, that's why this is the sound, the waves of the
so how
universe and something like that.
Well, yes, I mean, ultimately, to its core is that if I'm here to inspire change from within, so people to connect to their mental health and to their wellness and to their well-being, I would say, is that you have to be very mindful of the words, the thoughts and the actions that we take on a daily basis, because those words, thoughts and actions basically become who we are, right? They become our personal reality, which then becomes our personality. And so if you look at my original concept of sound bites, which is based on sound, you say a word, right? So they always say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but actually a word is worth 1,000 pictures. And so that's kind of the basis of my art.
Great.
So I say a word. I started off using a lot of cityscapes like Dubai or London or whatever, but we can even take your name, right? And we take your name, Max, or whatever. You capture the shape and structure of that sound, But then the question is like, what are the images that are coming up when you say like Amrita Sethi or
Yeah.
you say Dubai? And the important thing is it comes down to the storytelling and almost like a personal branding. Like, what is it? What are the images? If I say my name to you,
Yeah.
Amrita, what are the images that come up of me? And to know that actually these things actually make up who you are. And to also know that just because you had created certain images in your mind, that you have the ability, if you wanted to completely change your life and put new images. Like every day can be a new canvas. And so that becomes a lot around who are we, right, as people. And so that's where the sound, the storytelling, that kind of connection from within. And just to also let people know, I went from being a banker to an artist.
Yeah.
You know, people who now know me as an artist can't believe that I was a banker. But I was able to change the images. I'm able, and the destiny holds in my hands.
And how you find this kind of way, this kind of path of your life? You changed your profession, start to be the artist based on vibrations, because everybody knows that words are healing
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Especially it's beautiful words like love,
Yes.
peace, and
Yeah.
so on and so on. So why?
Yeah, because I think, I mean, I grew up, I'm of
Can I
Indian.
interrupt you?
Yeah.
By the way, where are you from?
Yeah, so I was going to say I grew
Yeah.
up in Kenya. I'm
Okay.
of Indian origin. I'm
Okay.
British. I'm married to a Swiss. I've lived in Dubai for 16 years. So I'm very much a global citizen. But I grew up in Kenya, and when I grew up, I was always very artistically inclined. But for some reason, I fell in love with economics, and then I went down I did a degree in master's economics. I went into banking. And then about 5-6 years ago, I wanted to get out of the corporate world because I was always in the big corporates.
Okay.
And then I decided I wanted to get out and go and do my own business, but in finance. And it was then that I just connected to my artistic self. And I then created, sound voice note art, which
Yeah.
is what I call now sound bites. And then because of the dynamic concept of the sound, you have NFTs became very relevant because it allowed me to digitize and to monetize my assets in that way. And then from there, then I started to just expand as an artist. And so, since then I've created other collections with always this concept of, inspiring change. So like the latest collection that I've done at the moment is obviously Bucket Monsters.
Yeah.
And you might think, what has Bucket Monsters got
Yeah.
to do with the sound bites?
Yeah.
And actually the story is the same, is that, you've heard obviously of the bucket list, right?
Yeah.
So we always say, what is the experience that we need to put in our bucket? But actually we are the bucket, right? So it comes back to how in the sound bites, it's what are the words, thoughts, actions you are putting out, because those images become who you are, and that becomes the story of who you become, right? And that becomes your personality and your personality. The same thing happens with the bucket, is that we are the bucket. It's not just our experiences that define us, it's our words, our thoughts, and our actions. And so the question is, what kind of a bucket are you?
Yeah, that's the good question. And one more thing. So you're doing all your arts
Yeah.
using which tools you used? I mean, the programs or software or
So
kind of
I'm both
things?
a physical and a digital artist. But I create a lot of my stuff first digitally.
Okay.
So I use my iPad a lot.
iPad, okay.
And again, I know a lot of people use Procreate, but I've always been a fan of more vector because, vector drawing.
Yeah.
So I draw a lot more in the Adobe apps. But now I also use Procreate because
Okay.
it's got much, I do love the features in it. And you can also, I'm now learning to animate a little bit more in Procreate. I'm not excellent by any means of imagination, but it allows you that. And the reason why I like to use Adobe in Vector is that I print out, or I make, I actually create an art out of printing. So for me, it's not a matter of like, because I do want to then take that and make that physical. And, I also really like working with some of the very big print houses in Dubai and actually thinking, how can you add like 3D layer textures or things to prints, effectively a print, to make it like a unique piece of art. What are you printing on? Are you printing on aluminium? Are you printing on wood? And so for me, that becomes, so at least then, you're bringing your digital art to life in a physical way. And I actually like to create art that looks like it's a physical art, but it looks like it's on a screen still, but it's on a physical art. Yeah. So, and then obviously, so that's on that kind of a software. And then obviously I do also just paint.
I see.
And physically just old school.
Why I'm asking friends these questions, Amrita, because it's really interesting, sometimes to understand how artist works and which kind of tools they use in their works. Because now we want to talk about the collaboration. Yeah. From my background, I'm fully 3D artist.
Amazing.
A 3D modeler. I started my career from the interior designs. After that was architecture. After that it was industrial design. Now I'm focused only on the industrial design.
Okay.
But sometimes I have a clients from the architecture perspective as well, because it's from my background, from my previous life, as I can tell. So I'm in design for 18 years. And for all of, I think, last 15 years, I was dreaming to create a software, a tool for myself.
Okay.
To work with the 3D graphics, to work it really fast, and to use the multiply tools, different things, to produce extraordinary things in 3D and making 3D modeling more like accessible. Yeah, exactly. That's why today we're in that the second part of the company working on it.
Okay.
That's why it's really interesting now to talk about the collaboration between the 2D and the 3D. And what is the most interesting thing for me? It's the bucket monsters.
Yes.
Because I know that you have an idea to make them 3D.
Yes.
What kind of 3D you want? It will be like, I know, because this is like an NFT that you're doing in a 2D.
Yeah.
But now it's a kind of animated NFT will be, or it will be like a physical object, or you want to sell it like an asset, or maybe to use Bucket Monster as a brand to create a game, a mobile game.
Exactly. I think it's all of the above, right? And so I think what I've wanted to do with Bucket Monsters was I wanted to create a collectible collection, right? And a collectible collection can exist in many forms.
Okay.
Obviously, it can exist as an NFT PFP collection.
Okay.
It can exist as a physical toy collection. It can even exist as a digital 3D toy collection as well, not just a 2D NFT. And then for me, obviously, where is all of the new, the focus going is, into avatars. And obviously, the word metaverse is kind of dying down, but the concept is a 3D environment, right? And so where do most 3D environments exist at the moment is in the gaming world.
Yes.
And so for me, it's a matter of saying, okay, how do we then you take my 2D asset, and I really respect, like, for people who make 3D, like, I don't even know where to start, and I know there's so much art to what you do, so I think it's amazing that you do that. But in an ideal world, I would love to be able to create my 2D artwork, then move it into 3D, and then once I have it into 3D, there's a whole world of what you can do, and the world is moving to 3D.
I think you saw some of my works that I did for the different brands, but I saw one of your work. It was in a print on a bag.
Yeah.
When you put an iPhone on it,
Yes.
so it start to be animated.
Yes.
It's animation. It's really cool. And what I'm seeing that, of course, it could be like a printing on the bags.
Yeah.
For example, now I'm focusing and restructuring the whole my brand to do the cosmetic, decorative cosmetics.
Okay.
And the
amazing.
handbags.
Oh, okay,
It could be
good.
the print of some of the limited collections of
Yes,
that.
I
It
love
could
that.
be. And the second part is that it can be animated NFTs with bucket monsters, and of course we can do the that, like you mentioned, the physical collection of that to make it like with the animated things, to put it like in an app or something with like that.
Yeah.
By the way, why I'm asking this, because for example, dear friends, if you would like to see the whole process, how we can work together with Amrita on that base, let us know.
Yeah.
Because it will be our second podcast about how we did it and what is the results we achieved in that. It could be.
I like that idea. I very much like that idea, because like, and it can set a precedent. For me, it's like, if we can find a way to, because I'm not a 3D artist expert.
Okay.
But what I do feel is that it does feel like there's a lot of work to take a 2D asset and make it into a 3D.
Only
And
polygon modeling. But
exactly.
It's,
And if we can show that it's actually quite easy.
Yeah.
And then I think that for me, once we have it into a 3D model, is then, where do we go from there? Like, do we create a nice digital toy first?
Sure.
Do we create the avatar? Do we stick it so that people are able to buy their own avatar? Do they are able to, because all the bucket monsters have different traits.
Yeah.
Are we able to make the traits individual, so that maybe you can buy the little bucket monster hat or the bucket monster glasses, and then you can also redesign your own bucket monster using these different 3D elements. So exactly, so like this is and I do think collaborations are important, because I can't do those things, but yet
this is the
I have
creative
the creative
process.
the creative process and the creative direction, and also the fact that for me, bucket monsters, it also has a deep meaning, right? And
what is about the meaning?
So the meaning is, for me, it's about combining again art, tech, and wellness or well-being. And that's what I said, is that the bucket list, it's not just about the experience, it's just about we are the bucket. So every day, what are we putting into our bucket?
And what is inside us?
Inside us, because eventually, like, are you a happy bucket? Are you a sad bucket? Are you even a bit of a toxic bucket? Right?
Exactly.
And then the monsters represent the mistakes that we all make, right? And we all make mistakes. We all mess up, literally every day, on a daily basis. We all mess up. But what happens in life is that we have our bucket, and we keep messing up. And we think, oh, it's just a little bit of mess. Just a little bit of mess. I'll clean it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it. Then most people these days, sadly, are walking around with a big bucket of mess. And we don't take enough time to go inward and clean our mess. Because it's not very pleasant. After a while, if you have a bucket of mess, you're like, ew, I don't want to go and clean that. But actually going and investing the time and energy to go inward, to look after yourself, to whether it's going to a therapist, whether it's doing art as therapy, whether it's doing music, whatever it is learning to clean your bucket. And I think that's why with bucket monsters, it's not just aimed, people say, oh, the images of for kid, like kids would really love it, and they do. The kids absolutely go crazy for bucket monsters. But actually, I think the adults quite like it as well, because, it's a good reminder of relationships in our lives.
Exactly, for kids for sure.
But even for adults, like, I mean, I don't know if you're married or you're single, but
I'm married.
If you're married or you're single, right? If you're a clean bucket, you don't want to be with a messy bucket, right? You even you just can't live with somebody who's messy. But if you're a messy bucket, you don't mind being with somebody who's a messy bucket, and then that's how the relationship becomes toxic. And so you have to ask yourself, why am I attracting messy buckets? Because only messy buckets also like clean buckets, don't get me wrong. But then that messy bucket is going to make that clean bucket messy. And so you have to go and think as a partner in a relationship. I've been married for a very long time, and for me, we both have to clean our buckets. It is our both individual responsibility, because if one is cleaning their bucket and the other one isn't, then that's where a relationship breaks down.
That's a great. Again, about the works which is with sound waves. It's really. I like this theme because, as I mentioned, I played music. I wrote a lot of musical samples and music in itself for the different companies and for the different projects. But let's talk about vibrations, that it goes from us and which is inside us. So is it reflecting, your works, is it reflecting the vibrations inside the people and how you think names, for example, I have my name. Yes, my name is Mark. My parents gave me this name. What do you think? It's this name calls on my life, on my, I don't know. Destiny something.
That's kind of, I completely believe in that, but it's same but different, in the sense that I think people's names do have a big significance and importance. It says a lot about somebody, but I think the important thing, that what I try to address in my sound bites, is more like, what are the images, what is the energy that you've given to your life. And so, like, obviously the name Max, Max, that has a story behind it. And so, maybe your parents met, and then maybe they went somewhere, they met some person who inspired them to meet, and then that person was called Max, and they wanted to call you Max. Like, so I don't know, what, there could be a whole story.
All my life, they told me that they tells me that Max is because of you need to do all the things on your maximum.
You see? And I think, so then with my art, then when I create the word Max, is like, you tell me your story, and then I would incorporate that in your name, like, or I'd say also a 3D artist. So what are the images? What's the story? So the idea is, in fact, I've been wanting to do this for a while, is like, I interview you tell me your story, and then I create a piece of art.
And what do you think? For example, sometimes you're meeting someone. He or she pronounce her or his name, and what a kind. For example, you feels that this is not okay for you. For example, or it's positive person. You feeling that?
I think that's at an energetic level. I think we all, at the end of the day, as human beings, we are compacted atoms, and so we vibrate because we're compacted atoms.
Because I'm really sensitive on that, because I see the sounds goes from the people when you just when I see the person, I can feel the vibrations, and I can understand that this person is for me or not. I can do the business or not. I don't know.
100%, because if you're vibrating at a certain energy level, your atoms, and I'm vibrating at a certain level, that's why they say your vibe attracts your tribe, because literally we're vibrating at the same energy level. And then sometimes when you meet somebody and it's just too off, it's because their energy is here and your energy is here, or vice versa, and you're just not matching each other's energy. And so that's kind of my take on vibrational energy.
And this is the part of the bucket monsters, about these like meaning of the buckets that you need to clean.
Yes.
And people as well.
Yes, of
course.
You're
proud.
Yeah, because the idea is that once you clean your bucket, you inspire others to then clean their bucket. And then you end up having, this is that your vibe, you then allow people to vibe check with everybody else, so that everybody else is then checking in and saying to other people, like, are you cleaning your bucket? So it becomes more of a movement. And then each time there's like a little story. Like, I don't know, back in the day there was like a book series called Little Mr. Men and Little Miss. Did you remember?
Yeah.
And so for me, Bucket Monsters is a combination of the Little Mr. Men plus Minions. You know, like a modern day take of the Little Mr. Men.
But tell please to the audience a short thing. What is the book about?
Yeah, so it's literally, it's like you have
Because
like
maybe
Little
someone-
Mr. Happy, Little Mr. Sad, Little Mr. Bumpy. And so you have these little characters and they tell a story of how they all overcome something. So, little Mr. Grumpy was always grumpy, and then something happened, and so there's always these like little stories. And the great thing with Bucket Monsters is it's very much linked to your emotions, right? Like colors are linked to emotional states, and so exactly, like if you're a happy bucket, like what color does your bucket become? And so the trait of the bucket color equals an emotion, right? And so you have like sad blue or happy red or something like that.
I see that you are happy bucket.
Yeah, a happy bucket. Yeah.
But
Creative bucket.
Creative bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have one question, because it's all the time interesting for me. It's especially from the maybe it's some kind of from the business perspective.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge that you were faced maybe before? You remember that moment?
Yeah. No, I still think I faced with it today. I think, I'm in a situation where I'm always at the forefront of all of the tech, and you're always like almost too far ahead, I would say, to what the current market is. And a lot of the Web3 world and the crypto world and these guys, they also, the techies, they're getting the new world, but there's not enough people there. So you have to bring the mass market into the next generation. That's why I try to inspire change through art and technology to help people understand the new techs. So like I would say even something like 3D, people don't understand. In the future, you will not want an asset unless it's 3D.
Sure.
Like you just won't. And if anything, I'm interested to, and I'm sure like I would want to know from you, is like how are you cutting that journey out to make a 3D, how to make a 2D asset to a 3D asset very quickly, because I think in the future everything will become 3D.
That's for sure.
So how are you doing?
Our life is based on the 3D design.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, because
we are
when
3D,
we're sitting on a chair,
Yeah.
when we look at the different technical solutions, devices, it's all were made by the 3D. It's based on the 3D graphics. So it's I'm rather tell about that this should be like a talent.
Yeah.
It should be a talent.
Yeah.
Because when you feel the shape, you can create it faster
Yes.
than anybody else. Even if you're working like with the polygons, it's still that you work like a sculpture. It's sculpting
Yeah.
a shape. And this is the main thing. But it will be our theme for the next podcast, if Amrita will agree to come.
Yeah. But also, like, the question is for you, what do you want to create? What's the next step for you in terms of your 3D journey? And how would you want to work with me on the Bucket Monsters?
My big dream to create things for the fashion industry. This is the industrial design, which is really tough. Which is really hard to create in fashion industry, to make it... Not to make it fashion or luxury, to make it really beautiful.
So to make
Pure
it
beautiful.
in 3D, but for 3D avatars,
3D and produce that.
and then produce
and
it.
produce that.
Okay.
And that's why in collaboration, I like the idea and meaning that you put inside the Bucket Monsters.
Yes.
Because now you see, guys, you tells us about what is the main meaning, and I like this idea so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And of course the collaboration goes through the printing, from the shapes of that, because it already tells that we can do the hat.
Yeah,
Why?
because all the
why not
Bucket Monsters
bags?
have different eyes,
Exactly.
different hats.
Even the bags, the bags, even the shapes of the bags.
Yeah.
It could be like that. So that's why it's really interesting for me.
Yeah.
And the big dream I wanted to make is the progressive brand in fashion industry, which will cover the needs of the women for the decorative cosmetics, because I made different components
Okay.
with the different brands
Okay.
and the whole production.
Okay.
And I was so amazed because of the technologies that put it there inside. For example, the LED lighting, for
Yeah.
example, for the lipstick.
Okay.
When you shake your bag,
Yeah.
you can find it here
It's very good.
inside, yeah.
Yeah.
At night or somewhere.
I
yeah.
would need that.
And
Yeah.
it's you know, I like this engineering small things
yeah.
integrated into the fashion, but I'm
Yes.
really focused on the details. When you're creating something in a fashion, it should
Yeah.
be focused on the detail. It should be beautiful thing
Yeah.
when you're holding in your hand. And I dream that someday a woman will put this lipstick on the table and it will be not her private private
Property.
thing, private property.
Yeah.
It should be like a small piece of art,
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
the same as bag.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it.
Because you know, when we are buying luxury bags, I mean, women
Yeah.
buys the luxury bags and boutiques, but sometimes, you know, when you look at these bags, I'm not saying wrong something with them, but
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say
Yeah.
bad things about it. But design is still classical.
Yeah, it's still right. Yeah.
You know, it's still
Yeah.
how to say not without the compromise. It's still classical
Yeah.
with the shape, these classical shapes and everything. But what I'm trying to do in my work is to create the new shapes, a new
Yes.
vision of that thing.
I love that. So a new way of people.
Because we're changing, the times is changing, you know. When I saw some of the bags from the fashion brands which they produced for the 40 years without the differences, I tell them, guys, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
40 years you're producing the same bag
Yeah.
with the same leather. Okay, you change the color and what?
Yeah. It's like the iPhone.
Yeah, nothing new.
Yeah.
Nothing new.
Exactly.
Even in technologies. That's why on my first work I created a bag based on the carbon fiber inside,
Ooh.
a new material there. And I like to integrate such a things inside my works, even with the acoustic systems.
Well,
for
maybe we
example.
can make a bucket
Sure,
bag.
sure. The new shape, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why
Like
not?
a bucket bag would work very well.
You know,
Because the whole thing is your bucket is the idea is that the bucket you are the bucket.
yeah,
You are your own best friend.
yeah,
And so what I want people to do is to understand that, like, you know, when you get a bucket, you can talk to your bucket like it's your best friend because you are your best friend. And if we convert that bucket monster into a 3D avatar, because what is an avatar in the metaverse? It's a representation of you.
Yeah.
And so that bucket monster is actually a representation of you. It's your avatar. And so if you're feeling happy or you're feeling sad, the same thing happens. The bucket monster feels happy or sad. But you yourself, the bucket monster, though, can cheer you up using AI. It can ask you, how can I make you feel better? And so I like this idea of then, but you need to convert it to 3D for you to be able to do all
that's
of
for
these
sure.
things.
And we need to remember that we are a best solution for ourselves as
Yeah.
well, inside.
Completely.
Yeah,
All the answers are within.
all the answers, yeah.
But we sometimes, the two things is we think it's with other people.
Yeah.
And then secondly, a lot of the time is that the universe gives us what we want, but a lot of the time we just don't know what we want.
Exactly. Because because we're afraid. We
Yeah.
are afraid of what we want and really want.
Yes. And
The fear
Yeah.
is the main problem.
yeah.
This is the main
But
problem.
amazing. But like, so let's decide what we want to create
Yeah.
between us.
Exactly.
And then if we do, I'm sure the universe is going to give it to us. But look forward to seeing what we can create for next time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amrita,
No, thank you so much, Max.
for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, I will see you in the next podcast, and we are preparing to show you the progress
Yeah.
and our collaboration with Amrita.
Yeah.
So stay with us, stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated. Thank you so much.